The top cop who put his badge on the line for justice.
You know the name Doug Poppa?
Yes, I do. God bless Doug Poppa, an honest cop.
He was a man of integrity. His testimony last summer freed an innocent man from jail who had already been convicted of shooting his ex-wife. But Poppa's going public cost him his job as an undercover cop.
I was elated, of course, but then as he testified, I was somewhat concerned for him, because I knew that they were probably going to crucify that man.
Sometimes the truth has a price. That may be the lesson of a Virginia police officer who says, in trying to do the right thing, he ended up paying for it.
The message you're sending is, see, we did it, Doug. You don't come out, you don't buck the system. No matter what the reason is, you just can basically keep your mouth shut. But if I wouldn't do it all over again, I would take the badge and I would leave it on somebody's desk and get out of police work. Because the day I can tell the truth because somebody's pressuring me, and the day the system doesn't want me to tell the truth because somebody's pressuring me, is the day I leave the badge on the desk and walk away.
Poppa was fired for insubordination. One man who confronted truth and consequences.
Welcome, folks, to the Truth and Consequences podcast from Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm Doug Poppa, independent investigative journalist and former law enforcement officer. I spent about 18 years in the hotel casino industry, first as an investigator, and then director of security and surveillance at another property. I also spent a short time with the United States Department of Homeland Security out here at which was then McCarran International Airport. This is episode 129 for Thursday, December 1st, 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, before I get into today's podcast, I got some tragic news here from Las Vegas. I want to report that police sources have confirmed to me that LVMPD, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Officer Michael John Sheehan, 33, took his own life while on duty. Like I said, on Monday, November 28th. This is tragic, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Sheehan was assigned to the Northeast Area Command, and public records indicate he was employed since 2018. My condolences to Officer Sheehan's colleagues, the police department, and his family. Michael Sheehan's father is retired Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Sergeant John Sheehan. This is a tragedy. It's very sad. The photograph up on the screen here that I made, that's from his Facebook page. That's Michael Sheehan's Facebook page. And on the right-hand side is a photo I obtained from police sources on Monday that shows his locker at the Northeast Area Command with a makeshift memorial that his colleagues out there made. Michael Sheehan was the third Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department officer who has taken their own life in a year. Around the first of the year, a Southeast Area Command police officer took his own life, and then this past summer, a female officer took her own life while off duty also. Listen, folks, police officers see traumatic events every day on the job, all the time. It affects you. You may not show it to their friends and their family, but it does. And most police officers keep bottled up inside what they see. When you couple that with personal issues one faces in their daily lives, oftentimes that is a catalyst for a tragic event like what happened this past Monday. All I can say is if you have, you need to talk and you need to reach out, there's suicide prevention hotlines. The police department has sources available. They have a police officer's assistant program. But listen, let me say something here. Suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And there shouldn't be any stigma in law enforcement when an officer feels they need to reach out for help. And that may be a problem, I don't know in these instances I just talked about here, but that may be a problem overall, is people feel they need counseling, they need to reach out, and they're afraid to do that, thinking it's going to jeopardize their career or promotions, and it is just the opposite. When you have a physical ailment, you go to a medical doctor. And when you have problems you want to talk to somebody about, it doesn't make a difference you're a law enforcement officer or anybody else. You reach out to a psychologist or a counselor and talk, because a lot of times talking helps. It gets things out of your system that you keep things bottled up for a long time. Like I said, this is extremely tragic. He was a good officer. He was well liked. From what I heard, there was no signs that something like this would happen, and that is oftentimes the case when people take their lives. And I did a couple of stories recently on Connie Land, who is the mother of Sydney Land, one of the victims in the still unsolved, 6-year unsolved 2016 Las Vegas double homicide. And unfortunately, Connie Land took her own life in August of this year. So, and I was in communication with Connie for a long time, for years, and I never saw this coming. So, if you have issues, please reach out for help. It's sad. This officer was very young, like I said, 33 years old, and the other two were also. So reach out for help and talk to people, because this is just and this happens all over the country. Turn on the news every day. It's another police officer committing suicide, and it's tragic. So again, my condolences to the police department, his colleagues, and his family. I knew John Sheehan from years ago. I used to see him sometimes at the Las Vegas Security Chiefs Association and stuff, but it's just tragic. It's very troublesome. Listen, I want to get back to today's podcast. In episode 124, I posted, in episode 124, I reported that Las Vegas Metro Police had arrested Michael Zahara on October 15, 2022, and charged Zahara with making threats / conveying false information concerning acts of terrorism. Zahara was accused of threatening to shoot up an LGBTQ plus event. Also in that episode, I stated that on July 17, 2020, in episode 6, I reported that Zahara advocated for the murder of a federal judge nominee and the death of Nevada Governor Steve Sisolak and Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. This past Saturday night, November 26th, I was informed that Zahara was found dead behind a Las Vegas nail salon with drug paraphernalia on Wednesday, November 23rd. On Monday, November 28th, at 13:30 hours, the Clark County Coroner's Office confirmed to me that Michael James Zahara is in their system with his date of death as Tuesday, November 22nd. When I inquired as to the cause and manner of Zahara's death, I was told that it is listed as unknown at this time. And this is my opinion, ladies and gentlemen. Mike Zahara had a family, but in my opinion, what I've seen this guy do over the years, he was a blogger. To me, in my opinion, he was a terrible person. For years on his blog, he defamed, harassed, and made baseless accusations against many people, myself included. After the death of Connie's daughter, who was shot in the head with Nehemiah Kaufman in October of 2016, and I reported this in episode 6, and I'll have the link to episode 6 in this podcast. Zahara harassed the hell out of Connie Land right after her daughter was murdered, and just kept harassing her through emails and phone calls, and you'll see that in episode 6. He made some terrible comments, including one that's not included in episode 6, where he posted on social media that Connie had killed her own daughter, which is total BS, and that the police covered it up to protect Connie Land. This guy was just off the charts, so I won't be shedding any tears for this guy. And everybody knows me, the way I am. I'm not Jesus Christ. I'm not a saint. and I'm not one to forgive and forget. So let's move on with my next update over here. Okay. On October 20th, in episode 125, I broke the story that Clark County Detention Center records indicated that Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Officer Michael Patrick Lyons was arrested and booked on charges of home invasion, kidnapping second degree, which is a felony, and coercion, domestic violence with threat or use of physical force. I reported that according to police sources, Lyons, P number 15324, worked out of the Summerlin Area Command as a patrol detective, and that Lyons was hired in 2016. On Friday, October 21st, 2022, the day after I broke the story, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department issued a press release and booking photo of Lyons, and the local media picked up the story and reported on it. Now, according to, get up on the screen here, according to Clark County Justice Court records, on November 16th, the Clark County District Attorney's Office dropped the 2 felony charges of second-degree kidnapping and coercion constituting domestic violence that, with the threat of use of physical force, that Lyons was originally booked on. The domestic violence charges, first charge, remains, and you can see that from the what's on the screen over here. Now, in episode 126, I published on November 6th, and I stated that according to sources who spoke to me, the Internal Affairs Bureau detectives had found a video on Lyons' cell phone after his arrest that led to further charges filed against him. A Las Vegas Justice Court records confirmed another domestic violence charge and additional charges of domestic battery by strangulation, a felony, indecent or obscene exposure, false imprisonment, destroy the property of another, and an additional felony coercion charge. And as you can see up on the screen, all those charges still stand. So they got rid of the 2. They dismissed the district attorneys, the first 2 felony charges that he was originally arrested on with the domestic violence charge. But he still has a second felony coercion charge and a second felony charge of domestic violence by strangulation, in addition to some other charges that came about, like I said, from the when they found the videos on his cell phone, and why somebody would video, like I said in the other episode, is beyond me. So that's what we got going on there. Next thing I want to report on, I want to talk about something here. Okay. On November 20th, and I got a lot of emails on this from across the country. This is with followers and people who read my stuff, and they're pretty upset about this. And it hasn't hit, as of today, it still hasn't hit the local media. It's been over a week since, even more since I published this story. But I want to get it up on the screen here so you can see what I'm talking about here. That is police officer Michael Ramirez. On November 20th, I published episode 128, which was titled LVMPD Officer Michael Ramirez, Corrupt, Convicted Criminal, Back on the Job, sources say. I reported in that episode that according to police sources, Ramirez, who had been on administrative leave without pay since 2020, when he was indicted on felony and misdemeanor charges, has been reinstated to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, and that Ramirez is currently a convicted criminal after pleading guilty to a misdemeanor charge. On September 13, 2022, Ramirez received a suspended 6 months jail sentence by the judge and was ordered to stay out of trouble for 6 months with a status check due on March 13, 2023. And like I said earlier, I will have links to the podcasts that I mentioned in the description section of this video when it is published. But I have further comments on Ramirez. Ramirez, listen to this, ladies and gentlemen, and I said this in the other podcast, and, Ramirez was the subject of an internal affairs investigation. And like I said in the other podcast, he was given a 40-hour suspension, according to police sources, and is now reinstated as a police officer. And go back and look at that episode. He's in training, and when he gets out of training, he's supposed to be going to the airport bureau, but I don't get ahead of myself here. When former Detective Lawrence Renetti asked Ramirez to provide his urine to Renetti's girlfriend, a felon who was on probation, so she could pass a drug/alcohol test, Ramirez complied. Ladies and gentlemen, that is conspiracy. It's criminal conspiracy. Ramirez aided and abetted Renetti, when what he should have done was turn Renetti in. He didn't do that. They were both police officers, and he was asked by another police officer, Renetti, to be complicit in a crime, and he went along with it and did not report it. Being that Ramirez got his job back, Sheriff Joe Lombardo, who runs the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, and the police union, in essence, are telling the public out here that it is okay for a cop to engage in this type of conduct that is unbecoming of an officer in the least. And ladies and gentlemen, that other cops were fired for similar charges over the years. And I said that in the other podcast. So I haven't heard anything from Sheriff-elect Kevin McMahill on this. I wonder what he has to say. He's taking office as the sheriff of Clark County, and he will run the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department in January, but nothing heard from him. But, we'll have to see what comes of that. Now, police sources have told me that when it comes to Internal Affairs Bureau investigations, Sheriff Lombardo and Labor Relations determine who gets fired and who remains on the job. And like I said in another episode, Ramirez's credibility is in the sewer as a cop. And a source in the district attorney's office, in the Clark County district attorney's office, said the same thing. So if indeed Michael Ramirez does get transferred to the airport bureau, like he's telling people after his training at the area command where he's at now, I was told they're probably going to hide him at a gate at the airport on midnight shift to lessen the likelihood he would make an arrest and testify in court. Folks, it's troubling any way you look at it. It's a freaking disgrace. And there's so many emails that I got coming in on this guy. It's just unbelievable. People can't believe it. But it is what it is. This is the leadership of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department under Sheriff Lombardo. And this guy is back on the job, and apparently with the blessings of the police union, which is not only in this police union here, but oftentimes across the country, you see where police unions have stood up for crooked cops and cops who did misconduct. So it's not something that is just that happens out here with this the Las Vegas Police Protective Association. On November 13th, I want to get this up on the screen here because this is pretty interesting. On November 13th, retired NYPD Detective Frank Serpico, who was the first police officer in American history to come out and expose widespread police corruption in a police department, looked at my podcast and made this comment on Twitter, quote, get it back up over here on the screen. It seems the quote-unquote revolving door so many cops blame for criminals being back on the street applies to crooked cops as well. And he made that comment on November 23rd after viewing the story I did on Michael Ramirez. So that's a comment from Frank Serpico, New York City Police Department, Medal of Honor recipient, and like I said, the first police officer in American history to come out and expose widespread police corruption in a police department. Frank is 86 years old, and And, this guy's got a mind better than mine, and I'll be 68 next month. So very well said, Frank, and I 100% agree with you. Now, while I'm on the subject of the LVMPD Airport Bureau, which is at Harry Reid International Airport, formerly known as McCarran International Airport, and internal affairs investigations, I have some breaking news come in. It's a developing story, and I will have another podcast on this, but I want to mention it. A photograph here up on the screen on the bottom there. Put that over there. Okay. Sources said that LVMPD officer Michael J. Brewer, up on the screen here, a veteran police officer with the LVMPD and a former detective, who's assigned currently to the Airport Bureau, is currently the subject of an Internal Affairs Bureau investigation, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, for doing his job and arresting a suspected pervert who committed lewd acts with the child. Let me read that again. Now, this guy is, from what I understand, is a 20-year veteran, a former detective. He works now at the Airport Bureau at Harry Reid International Airport. Good guy, a lot of experience, good cop. He's the subject, and this just happened this week, okay? He's the subject of an Internal Affairs Bureau investigation for doing his job and arresting a suspected pervert who committed lewd acts with a child. So I'm just going to go into this briefly because this is developing and I got more information coming in, and I'm going to do a separate podcast on this in the future. So, from what I'm told by police sources, apparently a sexual assault detail detective didn't respond to the airport when Officer Brewer apprised him of the incident. So Brewer made the arrest himself, which led the sexual assault detective, filing a statement of complaint against Brewer. It's an SOC. It's a statement of complaint. So now it's under investigation by Internal Affairs. Okay? And police sources have said over the years to me that there's always been friction between patrol officers and detectives. And, I'll have more on this in an upcoming episode. But from what I know right now, you got a good cop getting screwed because a sexual assault detective got his feathers ruffled, didn't go out to the airport when he should have gone out. And I got more information on this, and I'll do it in a separate podcast. But in essence, he didn't respond. So Officer Brewer, Michael Brewer, and I got his P number up here. I believe his P number's here. Well, I got it somewhere. But not important. He works at the airport. It's Michael Brewer. He did what any good cop can do. He arrested the suspected dirtbag, suspected pervert, because that's what they are. But suspected. He hasn't been charged yet. Unlike a podcast I did back where we had that other airport bureau officer who didn't do his job and let another pervert get off on the plane without stopping him. And that, when I said in that podcast on an updated one, that person was actually caught sometime later. But so this guy did his job, and now because the detective made a complaint against him, he's under Internal Affairs Bureau investigation. So we'll have to see what's going to go on with that. Law enforcement officers, I want you to listen to this. This has nothing to do with the LVMPD. It's out of California, and I'm working on this. I've been working on this for a long time. But how would you feel? Listen to what I'm saying. You're a state police officer. Let's use that word. Responding to an active shooter at a nightclub. You're running code, which is lights and siren. If people don't know what that is when I talk police lingo, you're running code. Lights and siren, bat out of hell, in the jurisdiction where the active shooter is occurring. And while he's running code, he passes a marked cruiser from the agency that should also be responding, And this marked cruiser is doing the speed limit, no lights and siren, no code, like he doesn't even know what's going on. And this other cop is hauling ass, and he's not even from that agency. He's a state police officer responding. So I got so much stuff on this thing. I've been working on it for a long time. But so how would you feel as a cop? And you want to send me emails? You can. I get emails from people all the time, both good and bad, and they like what I do. They don't like what I do. Personally, I don't care if you don't like what I do. If you don't like what I do, then don't listen to my podcast. But so an active shooter call goes out at a nightclub, people being killed, and you're hauling ass code 3, and then you pass a cruiser going the speed limit, no lights or siren, not going. And information I got that this was recorded on the vehicle body camera video, and it was suppressed by the agency after this tragedy happened. I'm going to have more on this. It has nothing. It's like I said. It's out of California. It has nothing to do with Nevada. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this episode. I got more stuff coming out. Another major cover-up and a big lie that was done by Sheriff Lombardo relating to the Las Vegas massacre and other stuff that I got going on. I know I had some technical problems with the last 2 episodes. It's some black screens coming up. We didn't lose any audio content, but I had some computer problems for the past couple of days. I got that all worked out and reprogrammed a lot of stuff, so everything looks like it's going smooth. So again, folks, that's it for this episode. Remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel of Truth and Consequences with Doug Poppa. My audio podcast, which is the audio version, are on iHeartRadio and Spotify. Support my work if you can at paypal.me / Doug Poppa. Get that off the screen there. Contact me at Truth and Consequences, WDP, at gmail.com. And folks, thanks for watching. And I have much more coming out. And again, my condolences to the officers and friends and family of Michael Sheehan. It's a tragedy, and I hate to see and hear about things like this. So thanks for listening, folks. That's it for today, and I'll see you on the next episode.